Today's Morning First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Sam Bernstein Law.
Good Thursday morning. I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro with a look at your forecast here on this First Alert Weather Show. This is our morning update for today, and we certainly aren't tracking too much in the forecast. It's still pretty quiet for this time of year. You could almost even say a little bit unusually quiet for this time of year as well. But again, pretty easygoing forecast for right now. If you have any plans for today or for the rest of the week, we do expect these conditions to really hold on for us. And even though it's kind of cooler today, even like right now, it's only about 25 degrees, we are going to see more mild weather returning to our forecast once again as well. Let me take you over to US 10. That's from the Fabiano Brothers building. This is right near Mackinac Road, and you can see the flags blowing around a little bit in the wind. Not expecting quite as much wind today compared to what we had yesterday, but we will still have some speeds up to about 10 miles per hour or so, and it is a northwest wind, so just given the nature of it being a northwest wind, that does keep things a little bit cooler as well. But otherwise, plenty of sunshine out there now, just a couple of fair weather clouds. We will see a few more of these fair weather clouds developing as we go into the afternoon for today, but no wet weather expected. It is expected to be a dry Thursday. In fact, the forecast does remain very dry through the foreseeable future. It's not going to be until about Wednesday next week that we see any sort of wet weather returning to our area. Let me show you that First Alert 7-day forecast here, just to give you an idea of that again. Very quiet stretch for this time of year, and we are seeing that chance of rain and snow starting to develop around Wednesday. So it is a little bit vague out there for some of our in some of our models, but they are pointing towards at least some sort of disturbance around that time on Wednesday. So that's what we'll be just keeping an eye on for now. And I'll actually go ahead and give you just a quick little sneak peek of that looking ahead into next week. Let me go ahead and grab the hour by hour. So I'll fast forward this going into next week here. So this is on Tuesday. Throughout the morning on Tuesday, we're still dry, even going into the afternoon. That's at about 10 in the evening on Tuesday. So we're starting to see that system approaching our area, and we currently do have increasing clouds in the forecast for Tuesday next week too. So by the end of the day, should be overcast, just kind of waiting for that system to come in. So there we are by Tuesday night, and then Wednesday morning you see this rain moving through, and this could end up being one of those situations where we start off the day with rainfall, and then we see the snow starting to take over by the evening, so towards the end of the day Wednesday. And I will say, with that system moving through, we are expecting the forecast to cool off again towards the second half of next week. So the 40s that we're expecting really for the next several days, not going to be hanging around at least long term. It's looking like about Wednesday is when we see the 40s coming to an end. But that's what we have for you as far as any sort of next chance of rain or snowfall for our area. So pretty quiet up until then. Seen here on the Facebook live stream, which if you have a weather report or if you just want to say hi, feel free to comment in the live stream because I am monitoring that here. Good morning to Cherry Hetrick in Gladwin. Gladwin, a lot of sunshine. Yeah, certainly there will be plenty of sunshine there as we go throughout the rest of the morning too. So just a nice welcoming morning with the sun for this Thursday before some of the fair weather clouds will return for the afternoon. We'll go ahead and take just a real quick break here. When we come back from the break, though, we'll talk more about the temperatures there in that extended outlook. So see you after the break. Alrighty, welcome back from that break. So we are going to be tracking more of our temperatures here as we go forward in the forecast. And the temperatures, again, I know kind of the big story for right now, just because we had the 40s the other day and then more 40s on the way in the forecast. So we're kind of catching a little bit of a break from winter currently. So let's take a look at our current temperatures right now. No doubt it's still been a bit of a brisk morning, even though we've had the sun, even though it's been pretty quiet as a whole. Just a cool start to the day. So most of these temperatures bottomed out in the upper teens this morning. We're back to about 25 in Midland. We have 23 in Flint, 21 in Bad Axe, and then we're seeing about 20 in Houghton Lake right now. And we will see these numbers coming up to about 30 to 31 for this afternoon. As I was mentioning just a few minutes ago, though, northwest wind today, just by nature of it being a northwest wind, it'll be a little bit cooler, but fairly light wind, only 5 to 10 miles per hour. So it shouldn't be quite as breezy or gusty as it was at times yesterday. But these highs today at about 31, pretty much right at average for this time of year. So Saginaw's average today is 31. It's 32 in Flint, and then it's 29 in Houghton Lake. So overall here, again, just a pretty average day for mid-February, especially in regard to these temperatures. We do have some rankings for you, though, and just wanted to show you this real quickly here because certainly if you snowmobile or if you ski or if you're an ice fisher, the general consensus has been that this has been a much better winter than the last few, and even the numbers are pointing towards that as well, especially when we look at our average temperatures. So this is ranking the coldest winters that we have on record, which the record book goes back a little more than 100 years. Out of all of those years of data that we have for our winters, Flint is actually still sitting at its 14th coldest winter. So pretty impressive ranking there. And this is for meteorological winter too. So this only counts December, January, and February. So the meteorological winter actually technically ends in a couple of weeks here at the end of the month. I think that ranking could potentially be affected by the 40s that we have coming up in the forecast. So we may see that ranking actually going down a little bit. But certainly when you look at the numbers for the cold weather, even Saginaw and Houghton Lake, this has almost been a top 25 coldest winter. But the snowfall, and it certainly all depends on your location, especially Houghton Lake being bolstered by the lake effect. Houghton Lake has had its 17th snowiest winter on record. Flint 23rd, so even around Flint we've had some decent snowfalls throughout this winter, but then Saginaw 70th snowiest winter, so really nothing too impressive for Saginaw or the Bay region in terms of snowfall. And I actually did just see an analysis map from the National Weather Service the other day that was pointing towards all of the snow that we've picked up so far this winter. And yeah, there kind of was a little bit of a hole around the Bay region, pretty interestingly. So that ranking definitely makes sense there. But yeah, overall, it's been a pretty decent winter for any of our winter sporting enthusiasts. And I do think the cold weather recently that we had, late January, even all the way up through this past weekend, really, that's what's helping to boost some of those rankings too, for it being, as far as at least looking at our coldest winters on record. For Flint, we were at 39 on Tuesday, 35 yesterday. And even though we're only up to about 30 in Flint today, we'll then have more 40s starting tomorrow. So we'll actually start to just add more above average temperatures back to the tally once again. But that's how things have shaped up so far. And that was a pretty impressive stretch of cold weather too. We pretty much went about 3 weeks continuously with temperatures below freezing. So that really helped to build up the ice for our ice fishers too. But let me show you that 7-day forecast once again, just with these temperatures going forward. We have 40 starting tomorrow, and then you see that from there, 40 plus through the weekend and through Wednesday of next week too. So Monday and Tuesday likely to be the warmest days at about 44 or even 46 on Tuesday. But just really looks to be a nice stretch of weather, especially more sunshine coming in by tomorrow with a partly to mostly sunny sky, and then mostly sunny as we go into the weekend. So if you have weekend plans, if you're just doing some traveling, certainly a nice weekend. And if you do have any Valentine's Day plans on Saturday, maybe you're going out to dinner on Saturday evening, you won't have to worry about roads being slick or anything like that. So pretty nice evening ahead of us there for the holiday too. Again, that wet weather doesn't return to the forecast until around Wednesday next week. I will say, in regard to these warmer temps, even though we've built up a lot of ice recently on the Saginaw River and on the Saginaw Bay, and we aren't expecting a lot of wind this weekend either, but just naturally, given the warmer temps and given the sunshine that we're going to have, be cautious on any ice, especially areas that were maybe still a little bit questionable. I think those will be really a no-go by the end of the weekend, just given the sunshine and some of these warmer temps that we're going to have. So just something to bear in mind for the weekend if you did have any ice fishing planned. And we saw earlier this week that very large crack that formed on Lake Erie. So also just kind of an indication of how some of the ice still may not be totally safe. That's kind of the saying or the rule of thumb to go by too, that not all ice is safe ice, and that's certainly the case here. And I think especially as we go into the weekend, with the warmth and with the sunshine, we could potentially see some ice safety concerns. So we do just want to make you aware of that for the weekend too. And going back over to our Facebook live stream, seeing a comment from Nick. How's it going, Nick? He's saying, do you think the UP trails will hold up next weekend, 21st and 22nd? I know it's kind of far out to decide. Certainly, I do think it is a little bit far out to totally decide. The UP, and actually I'll go back to that hour by hour that I was showing a little bit earlier, just looking ahead towards next week with that system that we have on Wednesday. So let me pull the hour by hour back up. Notice how as we go into Wednesday next week, so we have rain and snow in our forecast here. It is showing more snow towards the Upper Peninsula. So let me move this camera just a little bit more, get you zoomed in there. So there's the UP on Wednesday. You still see snow moving through there. So I think the UP will actually dodge the rainfall, so that's good for next week. But as far as this weekend, the warmth is still going to set the trails up a little bit more. So I think it's still at least just sort of an early look at this. The UP might still be holding together okay for now. It's definitely something I would monitor very closely, though, in the forecast, just because we are starting to see this pattern breaking down a little bit with that warmth coming in by the weekend and next week. But with the latitude of the UP, of course, it'll be just a little bit cooler there than here. So I would monitor it. I wouldn't totally rule it out just yet, but definitely something to just keep a close eye on here over the next week. As far as any sort of snowmobiling or skiing conditions go for the Lower Peninsula, though, I will say after this weekend, unfortunately, I do think conditions will be pretty poor until we get more snow. So what we've had over the last few weeks was really the best time, at least so far. But just with the sun and with 40s this weekend, that's really going to impact the snowpack that we do have. And I'll even show you this here too. Going back to US 10, there's virtually almost no snowpack, at least between Midland and Bay City, outside of the snow piles in the parking lots and such. So this warm weather is definitely going to be impacting this even more. But the UP still might be okay even by next weekend. So I would just keep a close eye on that. But that's about all we have for you with the First Alert Weather Show for this morning. Certainly, again, very quiet forecast, and if you do have plans for this weekend, it does look to be a pretty nice weekend, especially for this time of year with the sun and with the temps making their way into the low 40s. But be sure to tune in at noon today. We have First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips. She'll be on air on TV5 for our noon newscast, so she'll have another look at the forecast too, and she'll also have a live stream coming up right here at 2 this afternoon on all of these same live stream channels as well. So I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday, and seeing there in the comments too on Facebook, Cherry saying thank you as well. I hope you have a great day too. So hope everyone has a great Thursday, and enjoy some of the sunshine out there too. Certainly is pretty nice right now.